Hey guys, has anybody ever mentioned an emergency fund or even a rainy day fund to you? Do you need one? Do you really need one? Well, guess what? That's what we're going to talk about in this video, so stay tuned. Hey guys, I'm Thomas Knapp with Financial Empowerment, and we are empowering you to pay for college without student loans, manage your money, and build wealth. So in this video, we're talking about an emergency fund. This is basically your own personal safety net and security and insurance against life. Emergencies happen. Things that you didn't intend to have to pay for just happen. If you don't have the money to pay for it, you may be forced to put it on a credit card that, again, you don't have the money to pay for, and therefore you end up racking up some high interest on a credit card. This is not a good way to manage your money. So the best thing that you can do is to set aside each month, building up an emergency fund up to a certain amount. But how do you know how much you even need in an emergency fund? Well, the first thing you want to do is to try to put away something. So if you don't have an emergency fund at all, you have no savings, then you want to just take whatever you can today. $5, put it away. $10, put it away. And automating your savings is the easiest way to get this started. So you get a checking account. You have your income from your work. It comes in, it gets direct deposited into the checking account. Then you set up an automatic transfer that takes money out of that checking account and then puts it into a savings account. And that can be a savings account in the same bank, or it could be a high yield savings account in a different financial institution. Sometimes an online bank offers a higher interest rate for your savings because they don't have brick and mortar bills and overhead that they have to pay. So once you've established that you have the checking account and you've set up an automatic transfer of something, $5, $10, $20, whatever it is, get something automatically moving. All right, you can go at least one day without spending $5 or $10 on something you were gonna buy but didn't really need. You can forego that just once a month in order to have some margin in your budget that you can start to save. So now the question is, how much do I need to save? All right, this is kind of a tricky question because it depends on your circumstances. So general wisdom with personal finance says that you should save 3 to 6 months of your expenses for an emergency. What does that mean though? 3 to 6 months of your expenses does not mean 3 to 6 months of your income. So if you make $3,000, if when your taxes and everything comes out and you get $3,000 that hits your checking account, it doesn't necessarily mean that you need then $9,000 in order to have 3 months of an emergency fund, because your expenses might only be $2,000 or $2,500, and again, that extra $500 might go to savings or retirement or something else. So you can live off of $2,500, or you may spend any given month money on stuff that you could choose to not spend money on and it wouldn't hurt you. What do I mean? Like if you consistently like to get your nails done, well then if you were in an emergency and you lost your job, you can cut that expense out. Or if there's something like you have 3 streaming services and you lose your job, well maybe just keep one of them and get rid of 2 of them, and then you're gonna save some of that money. So there are some expenses that if in an emergency, if you were to lose your job, then you can cut some of these things out. And so you don't necessarily have to be able to afford to pay for those things. Figure out what's kind of the bare bones budget that you would need to live, meaning what's your mortgage or rent, what's your utilities. You want to make sure that you don't lose electricity or water in an emergency. If you do stuff online, you need to have internet, so you need to make sure you can pay your internet bill, things like that. So you want to make sure that all of those bills, everything you need, groceries, food, you still have to pay for food. Those are things that you want to include in what are my expenses that I'm supposed to be saving 3 to 6 months of. And then that 3 to 6 months part, well, what is that? What am I supposed to save 3 months or 6 months? Okay, well, the best way to break this down is how stable is your income? So meaning, if you're a single person, let's say you're a realtor, and so your income's kind of inconsistent, you might not get the same every month, and you might have some months where you just don't make as much or at all. You want to maybe have maybe more towards that 6 months category of savings as an emergency, because your income's already a little bit flexible and inconsistent. So you can have more cushion. Let's say you're in a 2-person household, and so you both work. Well, in this case, if one of you loses your job, it doesn't necessarily mean the other person loses their job. So at any given point, you probably have some income still coming in, even if one person lost their job. And so you might not need a full 6 months, maybe 3 months is gonna be enough for you. So that's part of the criteria. The other thing is just risk tolerance. So if you're somebody who's a little bit more anxious and a little bit more worrisome and a little bit more concerned, then you probably want more. maybe closer to that 6 months. If you're somebody who's kind of like, we'll figure it out, I'm not really worried, I can cut back on my expenses, especially if you're single. It's like, hey, if I need to move out of my apartment and move back in with my buddy or my friend or my parents, and you're willing to do those kinds of things, then like, maybe it's not as big of a deal to have 6 months, maybe 3 months is good for you. So it just depends on your circumstances. Basically, the more risk you're willing to take and the more stable your income, then the less you might need. The less stable your income already is, and again, if you're just a single income household, then you probably want to have a little bit more saved up in case of something catastrophic like a loss of a job. So there you have it. The basics of an emergency fund is that you need to somehow create margin in your budget so that you have money, and the best way to do is automatically transfer money between your checking account and your savings account so that you don't have to think about how much money can I save. You've already got it set up. It's happening automatically. You get paid, you get money into your emergency fund. You get paid, money goes into your emergency fund. Have it set up automatically so you don't have to think about it, because sometimes we have that decision fatigue, and then we have to make that decision of, well, should I buy this or should I save this money to put into the emergency fund? You've already put the money into the emergency fund, so now you don't have to make that decision. Just be aware that you need to create the margin, automatically put money into the emergency fund, and continue to contribute until you hit that 3 months or 6 months category, or even more if you feel like you need even more in that emergency fund. Emergency funds will protect you from life. What does that mean? It means anything like unexpected car repair, unexpected medical bills, unexpected dental bills, anything that you just couldn't plan for and couldn't have anticipated that just happens. You know, your air conditioner goes out in your house, or your refrigerator stops working, or your kids are jumping on the couch and they break the couch. You don't need to buy the new couch right away, but it helps if you have the money where you can. Having an emergency fund really makes your life a lot more peaceful and a lot more smooth as far as finances go, because once something happens, like needing that car repair, you don't have to now stress about, oh gosh, where am I gonna come up with this money? You just say, okay, I know it's $1,200, not happy about that, but it's fine, do the repair, I got the money in the bank. So having that emergency fund just gives you peace of mind to do what you need to do and not stress about emergencies. So set up yourself an emergency fund today by setting up an automatic transfer into a savings account. If you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel and share it with some of your friends. And if you like this video, you can check out more of my videos here. You can check out the playlist down there, or go straight to the channel and watch all the videos that I make about how to pay for college without student loans, building wealth, and managing your money. Remember, money management is a mindset. Stay empowered, and we will see you next time.